Have you ever wondered why a man can feel drawn to you so deeply, only to pull away the moment you get close? Or why he suddenly realizes your value the moment you step back? What if I told you that this pattern isn't random at all, but rooted in powerful Jungian psychology that explains exactly how men fall in love and why walking away can ignite feelings he didn't even know he had? A man becomes truly intrigued and emotionally invested when a woman stands firmly in her individuality rather than bending herself to meet his expectations. This idea comes directly from Jung's understanding that attraction is not simply about charm or beauty, but about psychological resonance. When a woman is rooted in who she is, when she carries herself with a sense of inner clarity, she becomes more than just a companion. She becomes a symbol. A man does not fall in love with someone who tries to fit into his world. He falls for the woman who refuses to abandon her own world. He feels drawn to the mystery of her independence, to the strength she carries without needing to announce it, and to the calm confidence that surrounds someone who knows her worth. When a woman hides her true personality, suppresses her desires, or alters her behavior to gain a man's approval, she unintentionally weakens the very energy that would have made him fall for her. Jung believed that every person carries unique patterns, instincts, and emotional truths. These are not meant to be concealed or trimmed down to fit someone's expectations. They are meant to be expressed, lived, and emanated. A woman's individuality acts like a psychological signature. It sets her apart in a man's mind and activates the deeper layers of his unconscious attraction. The more she tries to become what she thinks he wants, the more she fades into something ordinary. It is her authentic self that imprints onto his psyche. A man feels fascinated when he encounters a woman who communicates from her inner center rather than from fear. She expresses her thoughts clearly, she says no without guilt, and she embraces her passions, interests, and dreams without seeking validation. This creates a dynamic that Jung associated with the Anima projection. The Anima is the inner feminine aspect of a man's psyche, a symbol of emotion, intuition, creativity, and longing. A woman who is centered and expressive naturally resonates with this inner structure. She reflects back to him the qualities he lacks or has not yet developed. He begins to see in her something that feels familiar yet unreachable within himself. This creates attraction that is not superficial but symbolic. A man becomes emotionally invested when he realizes that this woman cannot be possessed, controlled, or reshaped. She is not trying to please him at the cost of herself. She listens, but she does not betray her principles. She loves, but she does not abandon her boundaries. She gives, but she never empties herself to be chosen. This stability becomes irresistible because it represents psychological maturity. Jung believed that humans are drawn to what helps them evolve. A woman who embodies her individuality becomes a mirror that shows a man what emotional growth looks like. She becomes a silent invitation for him to rise, to expand, to meet her at a higher level of consciousness. Her individuality also creates emotional contrast. When she is not overly available, when she has her own life, her own priorities, and her own inner world, the man feels a subtle tension that pulls him toward her. This is not a game, it is the natural magnetism of selfhood. He senses that she lives from a source deeper than external validation. Her energy feels centered, not scattered. Her affection feels intentional, not desperate. This makes every moment with her feel meaningful. Her presence becomes something he values, not something he takes for granted. A woman grounded in her individuality also awakens a man's desire to protect, cherish, and understand her. Not because she needs rescuing, but because her independence commands admiration. She becomes the kind of woman a man remembers even when she is not in front of him. Her self-respect becomes the blueprint for how he approaches the relationship. He recognizes that he must show up with integrity if he wants to be part of her life. This is the foundation of deep emotional attachment, according to Jung. A woman who is wholly herself becomes a catalyst for a man's inner awakening. Withdrawal or distance, when done without manipulation, activates a man's unconscious yearning to pursue and integrate what feels missing within himself. In Jungian psychology, attraction is rarely about surface-level charm. It is about the deeper structures within the psyche responding to symbolic energy. When a woman steps back not out of anger, fear, or strategy, but from a place of inner balance, something profound begins to happen inside the man. Her absence does not create punishment, but emotional space. And it is within this space that his unconscious begins to awaken. When two people are constantly present in each other's lives, the mind often slips into familiarity, routine, and emotional saturation. The man may enjoy the connection, talk to her often, and feel comfortable, yet the deeper layers of psychological desire remain dormant. Jung believed that the unconscious responds stronger to what is slightly out of reach, slightly mysterious, slightly unknown. Distance creates an echo, a psychological pull. It stimulates the parts of a man that do not operate on logic or conscious thought. He begins to feel the soft stirrings of missing someone, not because she demanded attention, but because her energy is no longer constantly available. Healthy withdrawal is not silence that punishes. It is space that clarifies. It originates from a woman choosing to honor her life, her path, her goals, and her emotional well-being. When she does this, she stops allowing the relationship to define her identity. The man senses this shift. Suddenly, he is no longer the center of her world, and this activates a powerful instinct that lives deep within him. The instinct to pursue what feels valuable, meaningful, and emotionally significant. He begins to feel the contrast between presence and absence, something that the unconscious mind needs in order to form real attachment. Distance also triggers the anima inside him, the inner feminine landscape of his psyche. The anima thrives on longing, imagination, and symbolic emotional movement. When a woman steps back, the man's anima activates through memory, reflection, and yearning. He starts replaying moments, revisiting conversations, noticing qualities he may have overlooked when she was constantly present. This is not manipulation, it is psychological resonance. The anima responds stronger when there is space for it to breathe and express itself. Her distance becomes the canvas on which his deeper feelings appear. A man who is truly connected begins to confront emotions he might have ignored before. He feels the quiet fear of losing someone meaningful. He becomes aware of how much her presence mattered. He realizes that her energy brought balance, calm, inspiration, or excitement into his life. Jung taught that the unconscious often needs a disruption to reveal what the conscious mind fails to acknowledge. Her stepping back becomes that disruption. It moves him from passive comfort into active emotional awareness. Healthy distance also helps a man identify what part of himself feels empty or unfulfilled. Her absence can highlight the gaps in his emotional development, gaps he never noticed until she was no longer there to soothe them. Instead of chasing the comfort of constant connection, he becomes curious about why he feels a certain pull toward her. This curiosity leads to inner work, not obsession. He becomes motivated to understand himself so he can understand what draws him toward her. Her detachment becomes the mirror that reveals his inner world. When she withdraws gracefully, without dramatics or accusations, he senses her emotional maturity. She is not leaving to manipulate, she is choosing herself. This is what creates respect. He sees that she is not dependent on his attention. She is not trying to force closeness. She is allowing space for truth. And truth, when given room, always rises. Her distance illuminates the authenticity of his feelings. Jung believed that what pulls us most intensely is what awakens our inner growth. When a woman steps back from a place of self-respect, she becomes the catalyst for a man to pursue not just her, but a deeper version of himself. A man's attraction, according to Jungian psychology, is deeply connected to the anima projection, which means he often falls for the woman who reflects the symbolic image of his inner feminine. This connection is not about physical appearance or surface-level traits, but about resonance with his unconscious. When a man meets a woman who naturally embodies qualities he has repressed, longed for, or never fully developed within himself, something powerful awakens in him. She becomes more than a person. She becomes an inner symbol, an emotional mirror that reveals a part of his psyche he has not yet integrated. This is why certain women create an immediate and intense imprint on a man's heart. They are not simply attractive, they activate something ancient, emotional, and deeply personal within him. Jung believed that every man carries within him an inner feminine essence called the anima. This anima is the source of his sensitivity, intuition, creativity, emotional depth, and capacity for connection. Many men grow up in environments that discourage these softer qualities. They are taught to be strong, rational, and guarded, leaving their anima underdeveloped and pushed into the unconscious. When he encounters a woman who expresses these qualities with grace, it feels to him as if a missing part of his soul has suddenly appeared in front of him. He feels drawn to her without always understanding why. She feels familiar, comforting, inspiring, and magnetic, all at once. This projection is not a flaw. It is part of human psychology. It explains why people often fall for those who carry traits they have neglected within themselves. The woman becomes the external expression of what he secretly desires to experience inside. Her emotional authenticity awakens his own longing for vulnerability. Her intuition stirs his desire to connect to deeper meaning. Her creativity activates his dormant imagination. Her compassion softens the hard edges of his inner world. Because of this, she becomes a figure of psychological completion. He sees in her the emotional richness he has not yet learned to cultivate, and this makes his attraction feel profound rather than superficial. The anima projection also intensifies when a woman lives in alignment with her truth. A man senses her inner integrity. He notices her self-respect, her emotional depth, her natural magnetism. She does not pretend, perform, or shrink herself. She simply expresses the fullness of her personality. This authenticity creates a type of emotional vibration that his unconscious immediately recognizes. It is not something she forces, it is something she radiates. And the more genuine she is, the stronger the projection becomes. She awakens feelings he did not expect, revealing how much he craves emotional connection, even if he has spent years hiding from it. This projection is also what makes a man idealize a woman early in the connection. He is not just seeing her, he is seeing his inner world reflected back at him. The qualities he admires are often the qualities he has not yet integrated. Her strength, her kindness, her emotional courage, they all represent the man he wishes to become. And because she symbolizes this inner potential, he becomes deeply emotionally invested. This does not mean he is delusional. It simply means he is experiencing her through the lens of psychological symbolism. The woman who triggers his anima projection unknowingly becomes a guide for his emotional growth. Her presence challenges him to reconnect with the forgotten parts of himself. She inspires him to express feelings more openly, to embrace vulnerability more willingly, to explore creativity, and to deepen his capacity for intimacy. She becomes the catalyst for his inner evolution because she embodies the qualities his psyche needs to balance itself. But the most powerful part of this dynamic is that she cannot fake it. A man's anima responds only to genuine emotional expression. If she tries to be someone she is not, the projection collapses. It is her authenticity, her depth, and her inner alignment that keep the connection alive in his unconscious mind. And once a man's anima is awakened, it is very difficult for him to forget the woman who stirred it. A woman who walks away with self-respect forces a man to confront the shadow aspects of his fears, desires, and emotional inadequacies. In Jungian psychology, the shadow represents the parts of ourselves we avoid, our insecurities, unhealed wounds, impulses, and fears. Many men carry these shadows silently, often unaware of how deeply they influence their relationships. When a woman remains constantly available, giving, and emotionally present, these shadows stay hidden because nothing challenges them. But when she steps back, not as a punishment but as an act of self-worth, those unconscious parts of him rise to the surface. Her distance becomes the mirror that reveals what he has been avoiding, and it pushes him into emotional honesty in a way her presence never could. When a woman walks away with calm dignity, she disrupts the emotional comfort he has unconsciously relied on. The man might have assumed she would always be there, available whenever he needed reassurance or companionship. Her self-respect breaks that expectation. Suddenly, he must face the reality of what her presence actually meant to him. This is where his shadow emerges. He realizes that losing her is not simply losing a person. It is losing the emotional reflection she provided. Her absence exposes his fear of abandonment, his discomfort with vulnerability, or his reluctance to commit. These fears often hide beneath confidence or independence, but they rise sharply when her energy is no longer within his reach. Jung believed that relationships act as psychological containers, holding our hidden parts until something forces them into view. A woman's graceful withdrawal becomes that force. It shows him where he has been passive, where he has taken her for granted, or where he has avoided emotional responsibility. Instead of blaming her, he begins to sense an internal shift. He questions why her absence feels heavy. He wonders why he did not appreciate her presence more fully. He recognizes that something meaningful has slipped from his grasp, not because she rejected him, but because she refused to lose herself to keep him comfortable. This realization brings the shadow into consciousness. Her self-respect also challenges his assumptions about love. Many men unconsciously expect connection to remain stable, even when they put in minimal effort. When the woman quietly steps back, she shows him that love is not sustained by one person's giving. It requires reciprocity. It requires presence. It requires him to show up. This confrontation with responsibility can feel uncomfortable, but it is transformative. By holding her boundaries, she forces him to confront where he has been emotionally absent or afraid of depth. Instead of collapsing or begging for approval, she embodies strength, and this strength becomes the catalyst that reveals his inner weaknesses. The man also begins to see her differently. When a woman walks away without drama, without bitterness, without attacking him, she becomes a figure of psychological maturity. Her silence carries meaning. Her distance carries dignity. He realizes that she values herself enough to step back from anything that makes her shrink. This realization triggers admiration, regret, and longing all at once. It makes him confront how rare emotional self-respect truly is, and how deeply he may have underestimated her. Her departure becomes a psychological turning point. He begins to reflect on his behavior, his patterns, his emotional limitations. For the first time, he might admit that his fear of intimacy kept him from fully embracing the connection. Or he recognizes that he withheld affection out of old wounds he never healed. Her absence forces him to face the truth he avoided. Real connection requires vulnerability. It requires honesty. It requires growth. This confrontation is not meant to punish him. It is meant to illuminate him. Jung believed that facing the shadow is the gateway to maturity. A woman who walks away with grace is not destroying the bond. She is revealing whether the man is willing to rise to the emotional depth she offered. Her self-respect becomes the quiet invitation for him to evolve, to integrate his shadow, and to become the man capable of loving her with awareness rather than fear. True love deepens when a woman's absence becomes the catalyst for a man's inner transformation, compelling him to grow toward the qualities she represents. Jung believed that meaningful relationships serve as mirrors that reveal who we truly are and who we are capable of becoming. When a woman steps away with clarity and self-respect, she leaves behind more than silence. She leaves behind an imprint of emotional depth, integrity, and authenticity. A man who genuinely cares begins to realize that her presence offered something he did not fully understand when she was near. Her absence sharpens the contrast between the man he is and the man he wishes he had been while she was still close. This is where transformation begins. A woman who carries herself with emotional maturity naturally becomes a symbolic figure within a man's unconscious. She may represent softness he has never allowed himself to feel, strength he admires but struggles to embody, or emotional courage he has been afraid to express. While she is present, these qualities inspire him, but they can also be overwhelming or difficult for him to process. Her presence can challenge his defenses, stir old wounds, or confront him with parts of himself he hasn't integrated yet. When she steps back, the intensity of this emotional stimulation shifts into reflection. Her absence becomes the space in which he begins to understand the meaning she brought into his life. He starts noticing how he felt calmer, more inspired, or more emotionally connected when she was around. These realizations often happen when the environment becomes quiet, when there is no reassurance, no warmth, no emotional guidance from her. The qualities she embodied begin to echo inside him. This echo is the beginning of transformation. Jung described this as the psyche's attempt to reclaim the parts of itself symbolized by the other person. In this case, the man begins to unconsciously pursue the traits the woman awakened in him. Her absence does not distance him emotionally. It challenges him to bridge the distance by evolving. Her departure forces him to confront the emotional gaps within himself. If he lacked empathy, he starts to feel the emptiness that comes from not showing it. If he avoided vulnerability, he begins to see how that avoidance pushed her further away. If he struggled with consistency or communication, he now recognizes the value of those qualities through the void left behind. What he once took for granted becomes what he misses most. Her absence becomes the teacher that her presence could not be. It reveals not only what he has lost, but what he needs to develop within himself. This inner shift is not about chasing her out of fear. It is about confronting his own emotional truth. Jung believed that people grow when they are pushed into self-awareness, and losing someone meaningful often brings that awareness to the surface. The man begins to understand that if he wants to experience a deeper form of love, whether with her again or within future connections, he must rise to meet the emotional standard she represented. He must become more emotionally available, more intentional, more connected to his inner world. Her absence inspires responsibility instead of avoidance. It awakens the desire to communicate instead of retreat. It motivates him to understand instead of dismiss. When he begins to transform, he is not doing it to impress her. He is doing it because he realizes that the qualities she embodied are qualities that make life richer, relationships deeper, and love more lasting. She becomes the guiding symbol of his inner evolution, not through pressure, but through the undeniable impact of who she was. The paradox of love is that genuine autonomy creates stronger connection. Individuation, not dependence, is the force that draws a man into real, lasting love. Jung believed that the deepest form of attraction isn't created through clinging, chasing, or trying to secure someone's attention. It is created when two people stand as whole individuals, connected by choice rather than emotional dependence. When a woman embodies her individuality, her passions, her boundaries, her inner world, she becomes emotionally magnetic. She is not seeking a man to complete her, validate her, or define her. She carries her own sense of purpose, and this inner wholeness creates the psychological tension that strengthens attraction rather than weakening it. A man becomes more drawn to a woman who lives from her center rather than trying to fuse with him. When she shows that she has a life beyond the relationship, it signals emotional maturity. She is not asking him to be everything for her. She is not filling her emptiness with his presence. Instead, she invites him into her world while remaining rooted in her own identity. This kind of self-possession activates a man's deeper instincts to honor her, pursue her, respect her, and rise to meet her emotionally. Jung described individuation as the process of becoming one's true self, and when a woman embodies this process, she awakens something essential in the man. He sees in her the embodiment of personal evolution, and this inspires him. Autonomy creates space, and space creates desire. When a woman does not rely on a man for her emotional survival, he feels the difference between partnership and dependence. Dependence suffocates, autonomy breathes. The man experiences her presence as freedom, not obligation. He can enter the connection wholeheartedly because he trusts that she is not using love as a shield against loneliness. He senses that love with her is a choice, not a necessity, and this makes him invest more deeply. Her independence becomes a signal that the relationship can grow without collapsing into neediness. A woman who practices individuation also brings emotional stability to the connection. She does not react from insecurity, nor does she seek constant reassurance. Her confidence comes from within, not from external validation. This steadiness makes the man feel safe. He can open up without fear of being pulled into emotional chaos. He can express vulnerability without worrying she will cling to him because of it. Jung believed that emotional wholeness attracts emotional wholeness, and a woman who cultivates her inner world naturally guides a man toward doing the same. Autonomy also keeps the polarity of the relationship alive. When a woman has her own interests, passions, and direction, she remains unpredictable in the best way, dynamic, evolving, alive. She's not static or one-dimensional. A man feels compelled to understand her, to keep up with her growth, to match her depth. Her independence creates movement in the relationship, and movement sustains attraction. When she evolves, she invites him to evolve. When she grows, she challenges him to rise. This dynamic energy is what allows love to expand instead of stagnate. Most importantly, individuation prevents the relationship from becoming a place of unconscious projection. When a woman knows who she is less likely to lose herself in the man's expectations. She does not shapeshift into the version she thinks he wants. This authenticity allows the connection to function on truth, not fantasy. And the man feels the difference. He respects her because she respects herself. He values her presence because it is never dependent on fear, insecurity, or desperation. She is with him because she chooses to be, and choice is the foundation of mature love. In Jungian terms, the woman becomes whole, and this wholeness becomes the very force that draws him closer. Her autonomy does not push him away. It pulls him into a deeper, more conscious form of love. In the end, love in its truest form is not about possession, persuasion, or performance. It is about awakening. A man does not fall in love because a woman chases him, reshapes herself for him, or tries to hold on tightly. He falls in love when she reflects his inner world, challenges his limitations, and invites him, without pressure, to rise into a deeper version of himself. He falls in love when her presence inspires growth and her absence reveals truth. When she chooses herself, he learns to choose her with clarity. When she stands in her individuality, he feels drawn to meet her at that level. When she walks away with dignity, she becomes unforgettable because she represents the emotional depth he has yet to claim within himself. Carl Jung believed that relationships are mirrors, each one revealing the hidden landscapes of the soul. This dynamic explains why true connection is formed not through attachment, but through consciousness. A woman grounded in her self-respect, authenticity, and autonomy becomes the catalyst for a man's emotional evolution. She does not manipulate, she does not chase, she does not shrink. She simply embodies the kind of inner wholeness that calls forth his own. Whether the relationship continues or ends, the impact she leaves behind becomes part of his inner journey. She becomes the symbol that shifts him from unconscious comfort to conscious love. And in doing so, she teaches him the deepest lesson of all. Real love is not about holding tightly, but about becoming whole enough to love freely.